Bonjour, bonsoir les amis. Alors merci de me confirmer que vous m'entendez bien, que vous me voyez bien. Mettez-moi un max de love, un max de like. Alors je vais interviewer Sunil, qui est un serial entrepreneur dans l'immobilier, qui est un spécialiste également de la liberté financière. Donc merci de me mettre un max de love, un max de like les amis. Ok, great. Un max de love, un max de love, un max de like. Ok, we will start. Hi, Sunil.
Hey.
How are you?
Very good.
Everything is fine?
Absolutely.
Great. So, donc I will start to present you in French, if you don't mind. And then we will do this interview. I think it will be a great interview, that people will love it. But, ok, je vais déjà vous parler en français et ensuite, bien évidemment, l'interview sera en anglais. Do you speak French, Sunil?
Un petit peu.
Un petit peu only.
Je parle français.
Oui.
Oui.
Tu parles français, ok, c'est super. Bon, moi je vais rapidement présenter Sunil donc, à l'audience et aux personnes effectivement qui nous suivent. Donc tout d'abord, Sunil, c'est qui? C'est un entrepreneur effectivement dans l'immobilier qui est un multi-entrepreneur. Il a acheté pas mal de biens. C'est vraiment un spécialiste, il est super bon dans le domaine de l'immobilier. D'ailleurs, je sais puisque j'ai suivi certaines de ses formations qui sont excellentes. Et il était pas mal d'années, il est resté pas mal d'années à Dubaï. Il a créé des boîtes sur l'événementiel, mais également sur l'immobilier, etc. La promotion immobilière. Puis, il est originaire de Grande-Bretagne. Il s'est installé en Colombie et aujourd'hui, il voyage un peu dans le monde entier, donne des séminaires aux États-Unis, donne des séminaires un peu dans le monde entier. Et c'est vraiment quelqu'un de super intéressant, super fascinant, qui a vraiment une valeur en matière de liberté financière. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle je voulais l'interviewer, parce que je pense que vous allez apprendre énormément de choses par rapport à son parcours, par rapport à son vécu et par rapport à finalement son savoir-faire en matière d'immobilier. Voilà ce que j'avais à dire sur Sunil. So hello Sunil. I said you're very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I heard Colombia. Did you say Colombia?
Yeah, Colombia. So basically what I said is basically you're a serial entrepreneur. You created many businesses around real estate.
Yes.
Basically, real estate is your passion.
Yes.
But I want to know, why is it your passion? When it started?
I wanted to be financially free.
Okay.
The minute that I read Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Yeah.
I was an IT consultant.
Okay.
I was working in
So basically
London.
you were like brilliant. At 15 years old, you were creating your own programs and stuff like that?
It's a long story, yes.
Okay, you can talk about it.
I was on the, when I was 13 years old, I was on the
Okay.
TV,
Wow.
and I was in the newspaper in India. We'd moved from the UK to India.
Okay.
And I realized that, I'm a computer geek.
Okay.
And I loved programming.
Okay.
And so I was very fortunate because I never had to choose a career.
Mm-hmm.
My career chose me.
Okay.
And I loved programming. And
Okay.
when I tell people my story about my job, I always tell them 1250. That was the first number I tell people, and that was my salary in dollars.
Wow.
So my monthly salary was $12.50 in 1991, I think
Okay.
it was. I was 19 years old,
Okay.
my first job. And I loved programming, and I went from earning $12, and a few years later, by 1998, I was making $120,000 a year.
A year, yeah.
$10,000, $15,000 a month.
Which is huge at that time.
Yeah. And I was 27 years old, so it was
Wow.
like a lot of money.
So you thought I'm the king of the world.
Yeah.
I'm making that much money. Okay.
I thought I was very smart.
Yeah.
And that's when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay.
And Rich Dad Poor Dad really gave me a slap round the face and said, look, you're exchanging your time for money.
Money, yeah.
Don't do that. And
Okay.
the book talks about obviously business, network marketing, real estate. And I was like, real
Wow.
estate?
Yeah.
And I really saw myself as an investor. I liked the idea of owning
Okay.
real estate.
Okay.
I had visions of like, that's mine,
Yeah.
going around the
Yeah,
town
yeah.
and like pointing out.
Okay.
And so I started my journey of learning. And what was really funny for me was like, I used to travel by first class train from where I stayed to London. And I'd be sitting reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, this purple colored book,
Okay.
and everyone else is reading the Financial Times.
Yeah.
It was like, okay. But I got to the office one day, I put the book on my desk, and I heard a voice from behind me that said, I'm reading that book too.
Okay.
And that guy was Andy Southall. He turned into a very good friend. He had 3 properties, and he was retiring from his job. and I had no properties. I earned more money than him.
Okay.
I was
And you
older
said,
than him.
My God, what's going on?
I know.
Can I translate very quickly?
Sure.
Déjà, est-ce que vous aimez ce Facebook Live? So, it's not the best time to do it, but it's fine. Mettez-moi un max de love. Mettez-moi un max de love. Je vais traduire rapidement parce que je pense que c'est super intéressant. Donc, 13 ans, c'est un génie de l'informatique. Il commence effectivement à bosser dans l'informatique. En 1998, il gagne $120 000, ce qui est à l'époque énorme. Mais voilà, il prend le train pour aller au boulot. Il voit que les gens finalement sont prisonniers par la rat race, c'est-à-dire qu'effectivement ils sont obligés d'aller au boulot pour gagner leur vie. Il commence à lire le bouquin Rich Dad Poor Dad. Il se dit waouh, c'est quand même génial ce bouquin parce qu'effectivement il y a énormément d'informations. Et puis il se dit finalement je pensais être intelligent, je pensais être brillant. Je gagne $120,000 or pounds?
Actually, it was pounds.
Pounds, okay, it's fine, it's the same. I think it's equivalent. Donc il gagnait quasiment $120,000 et il s'est dit, ok, je gagne ça, mais je suis obligé d'aller au boulot. Et quand il est arrivé au boulot, il y avait un autre gars qui avait lu le même bouquin. Il lui a dit, moi aussi j'ai le même bouquin, mais moi j'ai 3 propriétés et je vais prendre ma retraite. Et là il s'est dit, ok, il va falloir que je réfléchisse différemment, que je vive différemment et que j'opère différemment. Donc vous voyez, c'est génial son parcours. Thank you very much. It's finished. So the interview is finished.
Okay.
Listen, no. We're just beginning.
Puedo hablar español si quieres.
We have some.
Just know a bit of Spanish, that's it.
Yeah. Because your wife is Colombian.
Colombian, yeah.
Yes.
And I did study 11 years in school French.
Okay.
And all
But
I
you
know
forgot
is
everything.
un, deux, trois. That's about it, right? Anyway.
Okay, great.
So I got very inspired by this book, and I suddenly had a friend who was also interested in real estate. Mm-hmm. And one fine day, we opened up the paper, and there was an advert for this course. Mm-hmm. And this course was called Turning Point Seminars, a 4-day course. It was £4,000 to go on this course to learn how to invest in real estate.
In real estate, okay.
I was very.
How many days?
4 days.
4 days. £4,000 for 4 days. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
So,
yeah.
but since I was a kid, I was an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I was like, how can I get this course for free?
For free, okay.
So this is what people try my courses, and it doesn't work. But I called the company up, and they had this free evening call where you'd have a telephone conference. And then at the end of the conference, they ask everybody, what do you do? I said, I'm a developer, I'm a web programmer. And they're like, we need to speak to you. So it turned out I built their website, and they gave me a free place.
Training for free. Okay, great.
So it worked out. So it wasn't really for free, but a barter of sorts, right? And I loved the training, right? Then I started reading all the books by Dolph DeRose. I read books by Robert Allen. I read books by Russ Whitney. Dolph DeRose is my hero, like in terms of real estate. But they're all from America. Yeah. And they were talking about being creative in real estate, being able to buy property with no money. Yeah. And I was like, that's cool, because I was earning a lot of money, but guess what? I was spending it all.
Yeah, of course.
I was 27. I mean, I was
so you
spending.
wanted to enjoy life.
I was spending more than I made. I was like spending a lot of money. So I didn't have money for a deposit. Okay. And so I needed to be creative. Yeah. And then of course I started to try the techniques I was taught, and they didn't work. But I didn't. Well, it took me about a year to actually figure out how to be a creative investor. See, most people think you need a deposit, and then you borrow money from a bank, and then you buy a property, and then you're an investor. Yeah. I don't agree with that at all. I know that in real estate there are many ways of buying property without any money. Now, how did I find that out? Well, my first deal that I tried to do was about £100,000. Okay. And I structured this deal, like I put a deal together where the deal where the vendor, the seller, got what they wanted, and I got what I wanted. But I wasn't able to find the finance. I couldn't get the mortgage company to lend me money. Even if you were making quite a lot of money at that time? At that time, being an IT consultant was considered temporary. Okay. So they didn't like it. It was not a real job. Correct. Okay. So if I had a proper job, then they would have lent me money. Okay. But they told me they'd lend me 60%. I'm like, where am I going to get 40%? Property in the UK was so expensive. Yeah, it's still very, but at that time it was already expensive. Okay. And so that deal fell through. Then I followed the advice of Dolph DeRose. He said, shake people's hands. Okay. Go and shake their hands. Yeah. Meet people. Meet people. Yes. And I used to tell them, hey, I'm an investor. I'm looking to expand my portfolio, which wasn't a lie.
Okay.
I was just expanding from zero. I had no property. And so one fine day I met this agent. It was called Morgan's Estate Agency. I still remember.
Yeah.
And he said, I might have a deal for you. He called me up later on, and
Interesting, yeah.
he had this new property. The developer was building maybe 20, 25 houses, and they had one property where they could be a bit flexible on the price.
Okay.
And he said, are you interested? So I went and had a look, and I structured a deal. I understood that the value of the property was a lot more than the price they're asking
Yes.
for. And then now I know why they did that. You know, there's obviously pressure, financial pressure for companies. The bank was putting pressure on that builder to sell some of these. They had too many in stock.
Okay.
And so they were giving one away at a good price. So I went there, I said, can we do this?
Okay.
Can we say that I'm going to buy the property at a slightly higher price? Can you say that you're going to give me a free car, or you're going to give me a guaranteed rental return
Okay.
for a number of years? And then the net price will be what you actually get, which is what you want.
Okay.
They said, let us think about it. They came back 2 days later and they said, we'll do your deal,
Okay.
but you have to buy 3 properties. So I was like,
Wow.
well, if I don't have to put any money,
Yeah.
I'll buy 3.
Okay.
And again, months went by and I was trying to find the finance, or trying to find a bank that would agree
Okay.
to all this.
Yeah, okay.
No luck.
And you did not find the bank. Okay.
So my £100,000 deal didn't work. Then my £900,000 deal
Okay.
didn't work. And again, reading the books,
Yeah,
learning,
yeah.
getting inspired.
So you struggled at first. It was not that easy,
terrible.
because many people, they believe it's easy to become financially free. It's easy if you know how to, but yeah, you have also to struggle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was
To be a hustler. Yeah.
I got laughed at. People threw me out of their offices. They said, you can't do this, it's illegal.
Okay.
It's not lawyers. I mean, it was hard. But I kept on going. And so Dolph DeRose, in one of his books, he says, a deal doesn't know how many zeros it has on the end of it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do $100,000 deal,
Then do a 1 million.
do a 1 million, which I've done, tried
Yeah.
to do.
Okay.
So I put one more zero on the
Okay.
end. Not 10 million, but it was 7 million, around 7 million
Okay.
pounds. Went down to London, found 10 properties, structured the deal, put an offer in, got my lawyer involved, got my accountant involved, was trying to
Okay.
make this happen. The sellers agreed. This is, again, buying the property with none of my
Okay.
money. And we then tried to get the finance again. And then 3 months later, 4 months later,
Nothing.
nothing.
Okay.
I was on the train going back home and got a call from my lawyer.
Yeah.
And he said, Sunil, I've got bad news for you. So I didn't have to hear anything else. I knew.
Okay. It's bad.
Deal had fallen through.
Okay.
That was a day I wanted to give up. I went home. I was like, I've tried for like a year.
Yeah.
I've read all these books. I've spent all this time
Yeah.
away from my family.
And no results.
No results.
Okay.
And so I went to sleep that night
Okay.
very dejected.
Okay.
In the morning I woke up, opened the newspaper. There was an advert
Okay.
from a mortgage broker. We'll get you a mortgage.
Wow.
They all say the same thing, right? We'll
Yeah.
get you financing,
Yeah.
any situation,
Yeah.
all cases considered. And I called him up. And his name was Justin. He said, come over to my office.
Okay.
I went over to his office. He said, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
I said, look, I'm trying to buy a property on the value, not on the purchase price. He said, I've got just the product for you. Try this product from Bank of Scotland. Blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And like my eyes like went bling.
Yeah.
Like, so all of a sudden he was what I was trying to find was on a plate. And so what I did was then I found a property. I went out and looked for a property that matched the financing.
Okay.
So there was all of a sudden, I didn't have that trouble to find the financing because I had it already.
Of course.
And that first deal was what I call a minus money down deal.
Yeah.
I didn't put any money
Any
into
money?
that,
Yeah.
but I received about £27,000. And then I made cash flow from that property,
that deal. Okay.
about 1,000 something pounds every single month. And
How much per month? Sorry.
£1,000 profit,
Okay, which is great.
which is great.
Because it's the beginning.
Well,
Great.
most people were making maybe £50 a month
Okay.
from their investment properties. So what I had perfected was a strategy of maximizing cash flow from real estate.
Okay.
And now I perfected being able to buy them with no cash. Like, what do I do next?
Right.
But I can tell you, the real moment for me, the real moment that I realized I could be financially free was when I had my hand out and the guy put the first month's rent, he counted it out. I'm like,
and you understood it was the beginning for you.
yeah, it's like, wow.
When was it? What year was it?
This was 1999, I think it was.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden I'm like, I just got to do this. And I got very motivated. And by 2002, it took me 3 years to become financially free. I did 8 different deals.
Okay.
One of my favorite deals was where the seller actually gave me the money for the deposit. So it was like, once you understand real estate.
How did it work? Basically, why did he give you money? Yeah.
The thing in real estate is that value is price, or value is money. Let's put it that way. So if you can understand that value is money, if there's something that's worth, if we say this phone, like say $300, could be worth $300. But if the purchase price was $20, does that mean it's only worth $20?
Yeah.
And banks have a very funny way of valuing property, and so long as you know how to manipulate that system, when I say manipulate, I would say play the game.
Play the game. Okay.
So long as you can play the game, we can convert that discount that we get because the seller's desperate.
Of course.
Right. So if it was a £100,000 property, if the seller says I want 80,000, I need the money now, there's that 20,000 of value that I can actually use as money in the transaction if I'm smart and creative.
That's great. Can I translate very quickly?
Sure.
Donc, je vais revenir rapidement sur ce qu'a dit Sunil. C'est que, et c'est super intéressant, c'est qu'effectivement, il se forme à tout ce qui est investissement immobilier pendant quasiment une année. D'accord ? Il lit des bouquins, il participe à des séminaires, des formations. Il a suivi un séminaire à 4000 pounds pour 4 jours. Et il se dit, bon voilà, c'est super l'immobilier, etc. C'est quelque chose que je veux développer. C'est quelque chose effectivement sur lequel je veux investir. Et donc il se dit, c'est génial tout ça. Et ce qui se passe, c'est que pendant un an, en fait, il ne gagne pas d'argent. D'accord ? Pendant une année, il galère financièrement. Et il se dit à la fin, je vais abandonner parce que c'est vraiment du vent tout ça. Ça ne va pas marcher, ça ne va pas se faire. À un certain moment, il trouve quelqu'un qui est prêt à lui prêter de l'argent. Et là, il se dit, waouh, c'est intéressant parce que il peut me prêter de l'argent et il lui a prêté de l'argent à de bonnes conditions. Il lui prête de l'argent et ce qui se passe, c'est qu'il fait ce deal et ce deal lui rapporte 1000 pounds par mois, c'est l'équivalent de 1000 euros par mois. Et là, il comprend et il commence à comprendre que on peut gagner de l'argent avec l'immobilier, on peut devenir libre financièrement. Et ce qui se passe, ce qui est super intéressant, c'est qu'ensuite, il va évoluer vers, finalement, il va acheter plusieurs biens, il va acheter 8 biens, 8 goods, et ça va lui permettre de devenir libre financièrement en 2002. D'accord ? Donc 3 années, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, et là il va effectivement monter en puissance. Donc encore une fois, c'est super intéressant, mais pourquoi c'est intéressant ? Parce qu'il a commencé par galérer, il a souffert, il n'a pas gagné d'argent au départ, mais il y a cru et il a persévéré, et ensuite bien évidemment ça a plutôt bien fonctionné pour lui. Great.
One of the first things that I did when I started receiving, I think, my second property, I realized that my skill was not in the management. Right, because I usually kill my tenants.
You're not a good manager, really?
I'm a good manager for a short period. It's not my strength. My strength.
You don't like to handle tenants?
No.
Why?
I can.
Why?
Why? It's not. My personality is not that. My personality. My wife was better at that. So I was good at acquisition.
Great.
And doing the deal, negotiating.
Like
that was the fun part for me. She was very good at management. And I think the second property I got, I went out and I hired a full-time property manager.
Wow.
I was like, I can't do this. And I think that was one of the good things, because if I had to have managed the properties, I think it would have stunted my growth, and I would have got fed up. I don't like this. This is not for me.
You would not have been as good. You would not have this kind of results. So basically, you gave him this
gave her actually
job. You gave her because she was a woman.
Yeah.
And then you focused on your strengths. Basically, finding good deals and strategy. Great.
And one of the things that I've learned in real estate is people will sell property at lower prices if they like you. And it's actually funny because that's the same thing in business. If you're buying a business, it's very important the seller likes the buyer. and we just managed to do so many deals. So after 2002, things really started to scale up.
Yeah.
That's when I quit my job. I was like, okay, I don't need to work anymore.
2002.
2002.
Okay.
And I was like, what am I doing?
Okay.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And it was like, it was a big eye opener.
Because
And
you
then-
were making more money with your real estate than your job.
Correct.
Day-to-day job. Okay, great.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then 2003, one morning, I woke up and like, why don't I teach people
Yeah.
what
How
I know?
to invest on the
Because
real
it's
estate.
actually, it's really easy.
Yeah.
But it's a game, right? Like anything,
course.
if you know the rules, understand the rules, you can make a lot of money. I mean,
Yeah.
if we look outside the window right now, there's millions and millions
yeah.
of dollars
Yeah.
sitting there waiting for someone to come and take it.
Yeah.
And it's the same all over the world. Same all over the world. So I became financially free in 2002 through real estate, and I've been in love with real estate ever since.
Really? Yeah. Okay, it's really something you like. What is the best way or strategy to become financially free, according to you? I know you have a bias to real estate, but maybe,
No, it's got nothing to do with real estate.
Okay, great.
If you want to be financially free, the easiest and fastest way of doing it is, number one, find somebody who's got what you want.
Okay,
Whether that's real estate, business, trading, whatever it is.
find a mentor.
Find a mentor.
Okay,
You pay them as much money as you can afford to pay them, or as much money as they want. You borrow it if you have to.
okay.
You listen to what they say, you don't question it, and go and apply.
And you apply.
That's it.
Okay.
Now I got on a mentor later on. I wish I had a mentor
Yeah, before.
Before I just thought I want to do it myself. I like crazy.
Yeah.
But when I finally got a mentor,
Why you thought it was better for you to do it by yourself?
That's my personality.
Because it was also my case.
Yeah.
I thought I knew everything, and my results were crap. But when I understood that I had to learn from the best, then my results skyrocketed.
it just makes so much sense. But I don't know whether that's the employee mindset. We're supposed to, as employees, when I had my job, I had to develop myself. I had to improve myself.
Yeah.
If I go to somebody and ask them for help, they're going to push me down because they want the promotion. It's not me.
Of course.
Whereas here, now I suddenly got a mentor, and things just started to
Changed.
change like astronomically.
Okay.
And I was his best mentee.
Okay.
And when I asked him, well, why is that? He said, well, Sunil, you listen and you don't question, you just go and do it.
And you apply.
You take massive action.
Yeah.
And so if anyone wants to become financially free, find a mentor, pay them lots of money or whatever they want, listen and apply what they learn. And it's the fastest way to do it. Yeah.
Super intéressant. Donc effectivement, Sonny il a dit, moi, quand j'ai voulu vraiment devenir libre financièrement, en fait, ça se passait bien pour moi, mais je voyais que je galérais, c'est-à-dire que je pouvais faire beaucoup mieux. Et son meilleur conseil pour devenir libre financièrement, c'est de trouver un mentor, quelqu'un qui est bon, quelqu'un qui a des résultats dans le domaine que vous recherchez, que ce soit le business, que ce soit l'immobilier ou autre. Et puis, bien évidemment, il faut écouter et il faut surtout exécuter, appliquer, d'accord? Et beaucoup de personnes, effectivement, ne le font pas, ou beaucoup de personnes se disent « je sais, c'était son cas, c'était mon cas ». Because we thought we were intelligent, but the thing, it has nothing to do with intelligence. It's just that some people, they knew how to do it. It's like if you want to go to, I don't know, you want to go to a place, but you don't know the road to go there, to get there. It has nothing to do with intelligence. It's just that you don't know the road to get to that place, and that's it.
One of the most important lessons I learned was during a course called Landmark Forum. Have you done it? No.
Yeah, I've heard about it, yeah.
Well, they taught me this concept of called, like, if we take all human knowledge and divide it into a circle, put it in a circle, there's a slice called what you know.
Okay.
And actually we think it's big, but it's actually very, very small. And then there's a slice of knowledge called what you know you don't know.
Okay.
So if I was, do you fly a plane? Are you a pilot?
No, not yet.
But you know, not yet.
Maybe,
right?
maybe,
Good answer.
maybe.
Good answer.
Okay.
But you know that, right?
Yeah.
You're aware of that. And what happens is most of us make decisions from those two slices of knowledge. What we know we don't know. If you don't know how to fly a plane, you're going to go on a course.
Yeah, of course.
And when I realized that there was a third section of knowledge called what you don't know, that's when I really said, of course.
Right.
how did I manage to think that I knew everything or I was aware of everything? And it's that it's only other people
Yeah.
who can introduce you to
Of
that.
course.
And my life has been, I call that the option D. I call that searching for, because I have, let's say, 3 options, A, B, C. And then if you know option D, you might ask me, Sunil, why haven't you chosen option D? It's so obvious.
Of
I'm like,
course.
I don't know. So
That's great what you're saying, man. Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah.
So for me, it's my life has been searching for option Ds, and that's only with other people.
That's great.
And today, my life is like, it's through conversation. It's something somebody will say somewhere to you.
some small idea,
And-
something,
and-
and it can change your life.
It will, yeah,
Or
absolutely.
it can make you do great progress. Can I translate very quickly? Thank you. Ok, c'est génial ce qu'il a dit, Sunil. Il a dit en fait, il y a une chose qu'il est important de savoir. En fait, la vie c'est comme un cercle. Put, match, love. Beaucoup de love, les amis. Beaucoup de love, les amis. Donc je vais traduire rapidement. Hein. Donc effectivement, il y a 3 points importants. Il y a ce qu'on sait qu'on ne sait pas, d'accord. Il y a des choses effectivement qu'on sait qu'on ne les sait pas, et il y a des choses on ne sait pas qu'on ne les sait pas, d'accord. On ne sait pas qu'on ne sait pas quelque chose. Et donc il y a ces 3 catégories. Et le problème c'est qu'effectivement il y a des choses on ne sait pas qu'on ne les connaît pas. Et ce qui se passe c'est que à un certain moment, ce sont ces choses-là qui peuvent vous permettre de cartonner, de passer effectivement certaines barrières et d'exploser vos résultats. Et en fait, comment on peut avoir ça? En rencontrant des gens, en ayant effectivement des contacts qui vont justement vous apporter des informations, en lisant des bouquins, en assistant, en participant à des séminaires, en regardant par exemple des chaînes YouTube, etc. Et tout ça, ça peut vous apporter un savoir que vous n'aviez pas, que vous ignoriez. Par exemple, moi, je vais vous dire une chose. Parmi mes étudiants, beaucoup me disaient, je ne connaissais pas la rat race. Et avec toi, je l'ai découvert. Et quand j'ai découvert ça, ma vie, elle a changé et ma stratégie de vie a changé. Et c'est super important. C'est-à-dire que beaucoup de personnes, encore une fois, ne savent pas ce qu'elles ne savent pas et n'opèrent jamais ou ne font jamais rien. And what I said to my students is, it's great what you said, because me too, I did not know it was possible to be financially free. Yeah. I did not know you can make free cash flow from real estate. I did not know you can invest passively on the stock market. So many things I did not know. And hopefully I know them today, but it was not always the case. And today I'm very happy because I know that. And I know that I don't know, and that I have to learn, and that I have to become and to remain a student all my life. That's how I think.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 types of people, right? Like you just said it. There's those who realize they don't know, and those who don't realize.
Yeah.
And I like being around people who realize they don't know.
They don't know. Yeah.
I know a lot. I've studied a lot. I've learned a lot. I've been on lots of courses.
Lots of books also.
100%.
Yeah.
And there are times when sometimes you got to work out what skill do you really need. What's the most important skill to have? Is it marketing? Is it business skill? Is it programming? Is it whatever? And for me, the most important skill to develop is the people skills.
Yeah.
Because everybody has everything you could ever need. They have time. They have money, they have knowledge, they have networks, they have deals, they have. You just have to be good at connecting with people and creating rapport and bringing value to the table. At the end of the day,
you need to bring value. Yeah.
You bring value. And for me, what most people can do if they're in a situation where they're looking to become financially free is bring a deal to the table. Bring something. Learn how to find deals. Learn how to find opportunities, and then go find the money. If you can do that, that's what I do today.
Yeah.
But today the
That's
opportunities.
Basically, today, what is your job?
The opportunities come to me.
Okay.
If I like the opportunity,
you bring deals. Yeah.
bring me deals. I'll finance the deals. I'll find the money. I'll invest in the money.
That's great.
And it's a lot of fun. It's an awful lot of fun. But what I do now is kind of like what I did when I started out. I looked for deals. I found the finance. It was with the bank. Made the deal. Made the cash flow. Next deal. And it's almost the same thing I do today. Obviously, we love sharing our knowledge and having fun. But in essence, if you want to be financially free, find the deal, find the money, put the deal together.
I translate very quickly. So, donc, très très intéressant ce qu'a dit Sunil. Il a dit bon, il faut se connecter avec les gens. Donc you have to connect with people and it's very important. It's a very important skill. Donc se connecter avec les gens, avoir des relations, essayer effectivement d'apporter de la valeur aux autres, même si n'apporte pas, apporter de la valeur. Et c'est ce qui va vous permettre finalement d'être connu, reconnu. Et puis bien évidemment, ça va vous permettre de faire du business, même si vous n'avez pas d'argent. Beaucoup de personnes me disent, Tammy, j'ai pas d'argent. Oui, tu n'as pas d'argent, mais tu as des compétences, tu as des connaissances, tu peux développer ces compétences, tu veux développer ces connaissances. Et à partir de là, si tu es bon, si tu apportes de la valeur aux autres, un jour ou l'autre, ça va marcher. Mais si tu es là à te dire, non mais je ne vais pas apporter, je vais garder finalement cette mentalité d'employé, tu ne pourras jamais progresser. Donc c'est vraiment quelque chose qu'il faut intégrer et je pense que Sunil effectivement l'illustre à la perfection. Great, great, great. Do you have something else to add about strategy, about financial freedom and stuff like that?
Just do it.
Do it.
I mean, I think that most people are scared. And even when you're financial freedom, there's no such thing as security.
Of course.
The world could fall to pieces tomorrow. We
Yeah.
could lose everything we have, we could lose.
Yes.
So that doesn't change whether you have a job or not. So then it boils down to you have to ask yourself, what is the only security you have?
Yeah.
It's your mind.
And it leads me to the other question. Why is it important today to be financially free?
My gosh. Because why is it important to be financially free? Because there's a whole world out there.
Yeah.
You know, I know you have your philosophies about why be financial. I think for me it's about experience.
Yeah.
This life has given us so many things. I mean,
We are lucky to
Well,
be alive. And
I'm very lucky. I was dead. 10 months ago I was dead.
Yeah, it's crazy.
On the
Yeah.
operating theater. I had a heart attack and I died. And they brought me back to life. And I think that there is so much to experience. There's so much to be aware of. And who came up with this concept of a job anyway? Where did that concept come from? That you have to work from 9 to 5, that someone controls your salary, someone controls when you can take your holidays, someone controls where you live, someone controls how many children you have.
Yeah.
Because children are expensive, right?
Of course. It costs money, especially in Dubai. Yeah.
So there's another world out there. And I find it very hard when I teach people, when I talk to people, and I try and explain to them what is financial freedom. Well, you can't understand it until you've experienced it.
Of course.
You know, and a lot of people have a...
It's a special feeling. When you're financially free, it's crazy. Enfin, quand vous êtes libre financièrement, c'est incroyable parce que c'est vraiment un sentiment inégalé. C'est-à-dire que vous savez, it's like the fuck you, that's it. It's you can say to everybody fuck you, and you don't need them because if you're with somebody like I'm with you now, or you're with me because we want to. We are not obliged to.
No.
But when you're employed, basically you can't.
Ask permission.
That's it. You have to ask permission. That's it. And it's another feeling. Yeah. So it's a great feeling to be.
It's scary as well.
Yeah, of course.
Because it brings in like there are different level challenges.
Different than the others. I'm not like the others because everybody, you know, is scared, is living a certain life, and you are not like the others. You are the minority because there are not so many people that are financially free.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's very, very true. And it's something to strive for, just to experience it. Not that I don't. I know you work really hard.
Yeah,
I work really hard.
Yeah.
But you know, it's our choice.
Of course.
And there are times when I just
And it's our passion
Chill out,
also.
yeah.
We are working on something we love.
yes,
That's
exactly.
it. Yeah.
There's no need to work on anything you don't like.
No. Yeah.
And there's no one to ask permission for except my wife, right?
Of course.
Other than my wife, there's nobody
Yeah.
I need to ask permission to do anything. And and people find that strange. It's a strange feeling when you wake up in the morning and the only person you're responsible to is yourself.
Of course.
So yeah.
Now it's great feeling, I would like to say. Last question is, what would be your advice? Okay, I asked it to you before, but it was the best strategy. But today, I have nothing, no money, nothing. I want to become financially free. The best advice.
Just do it.
Just do it. That's it.
No, I think the most important thing for me when I look back at my story was being influenced by some key people like Andy, the guy I talked about, my friend.
Yeah.
He was influencing me. And then I went on this course, although they didn't teach me,
Yeah.
but those people were in the business.
Okay.
Then I started meeting estate agents. I started meeting mortgage brokers. And every time I met someone told me something like,
Yeah.
it was that. And when I saw somebody else become financially free, I was like, well, if that guy can do it,
Yeah, I can do it.
I can do it too.
Yeah.
And so today I have this concept of what we call IBR.
Yeah.
So reality being the last step. If you want to change your reality, then you have to change your beliefs.
Yes.
Right? Everyone knows that. And I find the quickest way to change your beliefs is by being influenced. Like if we went away,
Great. Yeah, great. Yeah.
if we went away for a week, right? Let's say on a vacation, and we said 10 people to come and hang around us for 1 week. I can assure you those 10 people will not be the same when they leave after the week because they'd have been influenced by us.
Of course.
And that's the fastest they'll say,
Yeah.
why do I need a job? And once you have that belief that why do I need a job, it's just a matter of time before it becomes reality.
Can I translate because it's great? No, it's great. Ok, c'est génial ce qu'il a dit parce qu'effectivement il a dit, ok, le monde et là ma question c'était effectivement quel est le premier conseil qu'on puisse donner à quelqu'un effectivement pour devenir libre financièrement. Il a un concept qui s'appelle IBR. IBR c'est quoi? Ça veut dire qu'effectivement on est influencé. On a un environnement, d'accord? On a des gens qui sont autour de nous, etc. Ces personnes-là vont nous influencer en bien ou en mal. Et ensuite c'est cette influence qui va influencer nos croyances, d'accord? Beliefs. Donc nos croyances, c'est-à-dire effectivement, est-ce qu'on pense que c'est possible de devenir libre financièrement ou pas? Est-ce qu'on pense que c'est réalisable? Est-ce qu'on pense que c'est difficile? Et donc à partir de là, ce sont ces croyances qui vont influencer notre réalité. Et on est bien d'accord qu'effectivement, c'est ce qu'on se répète au quotidien qui va influencer nos résultats. Si on se répète au quotidien qu'on est nul, qu'on ne pourra jamais réussir, etc., eh ben, nos résultats seront nuls à chier. Mais si on se dit, voilà, je suis bon, je dois apprendre, je dois m'améliorer, je dois progresser, je dois essayer effectivement de tirer le meilleur de ce qui existe, mes résultats peuvent exploser. Et ce qui est intéressant ici, c'est qu'encore une fois, ces résultats, donc ces croyances, dépendent de notre influence, de notre entourage. Et on est la moyenne des 5 personnes qui nous entourent. It's Jim Rohn who said we are the 5 people around us. We are and the sum of the 5 people around us. Donc on est la moyenne the average. We are the average of the 5 people around us. Donc on est la moyenne des 5 personnes qui nous entourent. C'est Jim Rohn qui l'a dit. Et c'est vrai que si effectivement vous êtes autour des bonnes personnes, vous êtes dans les bons cercles, premièrement ça va changer vos croyances. Et si ça change vos croyances, ça va changer votre réalité. Donc croyez-moi, ça peut paraître hyper simple ce qu'a dit Sunil, mais c'est méga super puissant. It's great point, man. Okay, another question. Talk to me about what you're doing, what is your business today, what are your ambitions for the next few years?
Wow.
So many. Big question, yeah.
I have personal goals and business goals.
Okay.
This year my business goals is I've got a new company called FlipMind. So
Okay.
It's not new, but it's been around for some time. But
Okay.
now I'm like focused on that.
on it, okay.
I want to have a revenue this year of $1 million in
Okay.
that company.
Okay.
We're already we're 20 days into the year, so we're at 7%.
Okay.
And I'm probably at 3%. So I'm lagging behind a little bit.
Okay.
But you know, that's the fun.
Yeah.
That's business. I believe business is a science.
Okay.
I believe making money is a science.
It's a science,
And
yeah.
it's just, you just got to follow the system,
Yeah,
get the right people around
Right,
you,
right,
and you
right.
can do it. So
Yeah.
business goals.
Yeah, because it's great. Can I translate it? Please. Ok, c'est génial ce qu'il a dit. Sonny, il a dit, ok, je pense que le faire du business, c'est une science. Que gagner de l'argent, c'est une science. Et qu'effectivement, pour monter en puissance, bah, vous devez vous former avec les meilleurs. C'est génial sa réflexion sur le business. Great. I love it, man. Ok.
Thanks. And personal goal, stay alive.
Okay. Yeah. And so, eat well.
No, personal goal this year is definitely health.
Okay.
Health is very important for
Okay.
me. It's really funny because we all seem to have one area of our lives or that we're not good at. Some people it's not good at money. Some people it's not good at management.
Yeah.
Some people it's not good at relationships.
Yeah.
Some people it's not good at
You
health.
cannot be perfect. We are human beings.
And
Yeah.
my issue has been my health for many years.
Yes.
So this year is definitely
Okay.
putting my health first, and learning how to change my habits around
Yeah.
that because
Yeah.
you know it's like I can sit and talk and teach people all day long. I have to also apply.
Of course, to yourself. Do you have a coach? for sports or stuff like that?
No, not at the
No.
moment. No, I'm actually
Yeah.
in the process of signing up with a life coach.
Great, yeah, you have to. Because it's very important.
Yes.
Okay, so ambition for 2018, I think it will be a great year.
Give it a shot.
I'm sure.
Give it a
I'm
shot.
sure,
What's
yeah.
the worst that could happen?
Nothing. It's,
We fail.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah.
just success.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you have something to add to the audience, to say something? Est-ce que vous avez des questions à poser à Sunil? Déjà, est-ce que vous avez aimé cette interview? Mettez-moi un max de love, les amis. Mettez-moi un max de love. Much love, please. Donc, est-ce que vous avez... I know it's early because people are working now in France because it's like 3 hours before, so it's 3:30. But it's fine, it's okay. Donc, est-ce que vous avez des questions à poser ou est-ce que vous êtes timide? Mettez-moi un max de love, max de love. Merci les amis. J'espère que vous avez aimé. Donc je vois pas de questions, C'est fini. They are shy. I think they are shy. It's strange.
They're probably slow typers.
Yeah,
you need to give them some time.
Okay. Pourquoi il est à Dubai? So Cedric, he said, why you are in Dubai? But, yeah, you can.
Yeah,
Sorry.
in 2006 I got divorced.
Okay.
And I was in the UK. I went to India.
Okay.
I was sitting at a table like this,
Yeah.
and I had a real estate agent
Okay.
pitch me a deal in India.
Okay.
And I told him, you don't know nothing about deals. Let me explain to you
Okay.
what a deal is. He turned around and said, do you want to do a business in Dubai? And that's how I ended up in Dubai in
Really, you
2006.
did not know this. You said in your conference that
I
you
thought
did
it was-
not even know it was a city.
Yeah,
You thought it was a country.
Yeah.
Crazy. En 2006, il pensait que Dubaï c'était un pays, c'était une ville. Enfin, c'était un pays, c'était pas une ville. Et en fait, par hasard, il a rencontré un agent immobilier qui lui a dit pourquoi ne pas faire un business à Dubaï. Et en 2006, il s'est installé à Dubaï. Histoire de fou. Okay. Did you like? So, you can talk about Dubai. What do you think about Dubai?
So when I first came to Dubai,
Okay.
people asked me, how long are you staying for? And
1 year.
And I would tell them, well, this is the first and last time I'm coming to Dubai.
Yeah.
And they say, why is it the last time? I say, I'm not leaving, I'm staying.
Really? Okay.
And I love Dubai. It was in 2006, it was there still is a lot of
Yeah,
energy
yeah,
in
yeah.
Dubai. But 2006, everything was like booming and crazy.
Crazy.
And the good thing about Dubai is that 92% of the population are expats.
Yeah.
So to move from your home country to
Yeah.
come here, you got to have a little bit of an open mind.
Of course.
So in terms of a place to try new things,
Yeah.
it's a very good place
It's
to try new things.
exciting, an exciting place. Ouais.
Exactly.
Il a dit quand il est arrivé à Dubaï, en fait, il se disait est-ce que je vais rester? Donc il pensait pas rester et en fait non, il a adoré cette ville parce que finalement les gens ici sont ouverts d'esprit. Il y a 92% d'étrangers, des expats et en fait quand on arrive ici, il faut avoir l'esprit ouvert, sinon on reste pas. Okay, great. Another question. I love Morocco. It's beneficial in what prospect? I don't understand the question, Hamza. Okay, do you have other question? I love Morocco. Do you love Morocco?
I've not been to Morocco.
So, you have to go there. You've been to
take me.
France. You've been to France.
Yeah, many times. Many
Paris.
times.
You love
Paris,
France.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I had an interesting experience in
Okay.
Paris. This was my first trip to Paris. We went on the Eurostar. This is when I was an IT consultant, so
Okay.
long back time ago. And we started drinking at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
By 11 o'clock in the night, or whatever it was, I don't remember, we were in Moulin Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we ended up in some undesirable club.
Okay.
And yeah, that was a very interesting
nice.
experience.
It was interesting. Not on Facebook, not on YouTube. Great. Sunny, it was. Do you have something to add?
No, man,
To end.
I just really believe that, well, thank you for this opportunity, of course.
It's me that have
No.
to thank you to come here for this interview because it was really interesting.
My pleasure.
And I hope the audience liked it. And okay, do you think it's beneficial to experience the rat race?
No.
No, me too. No. I think you don't have to stay too long in the. Basically, maybe to understand what it means. But you were in the rat race. I was also in the rat race.
So-
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who think they need to be in a job to
Yeah.
understand business,
Yeah.
and then they'll get some experience.
Yeah.
That's
No,
BS.
it's bullshit. Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions? No? Thank you. mettez-moi un max de love, les amis. En tout cas, voilà. Merci à Sunil. Thank you, Sunil.
You're welcome, buddy.
It was really great. I hope you liked it, and I hope you will have great success in 2018. And it will be a huge year.
Inshallah.
Yes, great. Thank you very much. Huh? Bye.